scares me to look at that chart down at the lower right-hand corner and see the graph line going straight down, straight down. That's the same thing that would have happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki after the bomb was dropped. One major event all at one time.
Well, I certainly see a trend. You know, whether or not people think the webbot is credible, I think we can all agree that we as a nation, we as just the world in general, is going in the wrong direction. And I think that a conflict is most certainly imminent, only because history has shown that we're prone to do it. And with that, Griff, I don't know. I mean, what is your feeling on the webbot as far as its accuracy?
I think it's very credible. I agree with the data on the webbot. The webbot agrees with me, so we agree with each other. I think Cliff High is brilliant. He's quite an amazing person to come up with this and to be able to interpret the linguistics. I can understand how errors are made in the interpretation of the data, not necessarily the data, but the way it can be interpreted. It's not just crystal clear that you can take one avenue and interpret it correctly each time, and that's where the errors occur. But he said on this last one something that supported his claim. I thought it was interesting. In the same data, the information regarding the misstep of I forget the exact words, but kind of paraphrase, the top general would misstep, or Obama would misstep and fire the top general. Well, that information was in the same data, calling for a major conflict there with Israel and Iran. So if you get one right, it's all part of the same.
Mm-hmm.
I would suspect that it is right on this. A lot of people are feeling it. A lot of people on the inside are scared to death. I can tell you that.
Well, now that I think I've gotten my connection problems all figured out, I believe, although I'm not quite sure, that we have Mr. James Fox in queue. Mr. Fox, is that you from 415?
Doesn't appear to be, John. Doesn't appear to be.
Okay. Well, same area code. I thought it could possibly be him. Sorry about that.
Hey, no sweat, man. No sweat. Yeah, I certainly understand what you're saying. And if people are a little more familiar about how Cliff has to interpret that information, it's a chore, and that's being that's a very simplified way of putting it. But well, I guess the question then is, Griff, what do we do? What do we do as people who are paying attention and do have an understanding of what's going on? Where do we go from here?
Well, you try to protect yourself and your family. All of the other is entertainment. I've said that so many times. It's entertainment to us to discuss how things happened and who did what, why, and when they did it and what they should have done. But it has no bearing on our survival in the future. The food is a good bet. Put as much food away as you can. It's quite an art to that, by the way. You just can't stock food away. It'll go bad on you. So freeze-dried, look at the dates on the cans, get a water supply, and try to position yourself in a reasonably good location. A lot to consider. It's not an easy task. I've been actively working on it for the last 5 years, 6 years here, every day, and we're a long way from being comfortable in our position. It is a complicated thing. You have to know a lot about a lot of things, and it's not one thing coming at you, as you know. It's many things. It's the atmosphere. It's the water that's contaminated. It's the geographic location. It's the welfare checks. It's many things.
That's right.
So you have to be well versed in and you have to be streetwise to know how to save yourself in this. There's no guarantees.
No, by all means, it certainly isn't. And I think you brought up a good point. Right now, we have so many people on the rolls as far as entitlements are concerned, or welfare, or anything like that. You know, when the economy does crash, and every indication is showing that it's going down now in a flaming crash, what do you see happening as far as civil unrest is concerned? Do you see it manifesting itself in the population centers first, or do you see martial law being imposed? What are some of the things that you have, some of the ideas that you've come up with based on the data that you've collected?
I think that people will be evacuated out of the Gulf area. They're not going to turn the contaminated water around. It's still pumping into the aquifers, I'm sure. So I'm pretty confident that the people, 20 million, 30 million people, will come north with virtually no life support systems. So that's going to be an ongoing event, I think. When you cut off the welfare checks and cut off the money to the cities, especially the East Coast cities, especially that, because of the concentration of people, that corridor from New York, Boston, all the way down to Washington, Richmond, Brawley, is the heaviest populated corridor on the earth. There's more people right there than anywhere else. When you stop the life support systems and the welfare checks and the money, you're going to have significant civil unrest, violence. They're going to loot every store on the East Coast, and it'll happen in Los Angeles, some of the bigger cities in California. You probably will have minimal violence in places like Hays, Kansas, and in the Midwest. You probably will have no violence in places like Wisconsin, Montana, up there. But you will have something to cope with on the East Coast. I promise you.
Have you heard anything about a foreign military contingent here to augment our strained military?
No more than the Canadians and what has been going on for the last 10 years. There's always been thousands of foreign troops in the United States through the National Guard Bureau programs for training and so on. But I don't see, if it's here, I'm not seeing it. I don't see great numbers of foreign troops with rifles and tanks to put down American citizens. I just don't see it.
Yeah,
I think they would be ill-advised to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And as far as the civil unrest goes, I mean, think about it. There are 200 million guns in this country. What do you think, or what do you see as far as a taking back the government, or doing so? Do you think it's going to be a revolutionary style, or do you think it's going to be like an implosion and then kind of sweep up the mess when it's all done?
I think that's our only salvation if it does collapse on itself after great turmoil. We'll be able to rebuild it. Those that are left will be able to take hold and rebuild it over a couple lifetimes. That'll be our salvation. Secretly, I think I'm hoping that will occur. I think there's going to be a lot of misery and a lot of deaths.
Right.
A lot. I don't think there's any mechanism to come to the aid of the American people anymore.
Griff, when we come out of this world economy on the other side of this worldwide implosion, do you see these other European nations setting up constitutional republics similar to the United States, or will they always be as they are now?
Well, most of them are very happy, and the people are happy with what they've got. I don't see any need for the United States to force its lifestyle on other countries. I don't know what's going to happen after the monetary collapse. As you know, I mentioned some time ago, the reason for the worldwide monetary collapse was nothing like what you've been told. It was mainly a program set up under Reagan to take down the Soviet economy, to destroy it, to make it